Greetings everyone, and Grid here with another Advanced Wars by Web replay. So on the north side, as the Pink Cosmos Kindle, we have Aetolf, well, which that name well enough. Spawn on the south side as the Jade Sun Max, we got IDK, a decent name. This is my tank 2 trying to cast this replay. My previous one, apparently the file bugged out. So I've got to start over. Didn't completely finish the last game, but I got a decent way through. Okay, let's go ahead and get started the game. We do have an additional airport in the center of the map as well as base, so as well as comm tower. A lot of properties on the map. Do note as well, these spent missile silos are not classified as properties, or at least in this case, urban terrain. If you look closely, urban terrain is classified as HQ, bases, airports, ports, city, labs, comm towers, not missile silos nor spent missile silos, so keep that in mind. So, all of these missile silos are just simply 3 terrain stars. And let's actually get started now. Of course, initial early game, both players kept up the various properties. Max will be eyeing for the base and center, which makes sense. You should generally eye for the bases as quickly as you can. Bases, of course, allows you to get more production queues going, primarily for the initial infantry. General, Max has deployed out a recon for maximum reconnaissance. And perhaps harass some of these infantry units. There's a lot of roads to advance as well as properties. You can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's able to make a pretty good distance into the center of the map. I could just let him move and show you how far I can get the map rather than me trying to count it out. So Max is going to try to harass a little bit. He may try to pull out a tank here to ward away the recon. And she does deploy out a tank. Feels my throat's a little bit scratchy. Max has deployed out a secondary tank, or his first tank, to engage his opponent's tank. This recon is out of range of this tank. Just out of range, very nice. And tank's now pushing forward, trying to engage that tank. She could try to pull out a tank here to help corner out this tank, maybe just a recon. And that way this recon doesn't really push forward. Right now, pushing forward, attacking this infantry will just perhaps interrupt a future capture, but that's about it. Won't gain too much value. And Kindle has another tank here, so if the recon push forward, it will be smashed by this tank. If it tries to harass, say, interrupt this cap, it will get smashed by this tank. Maybe it'd be best either fall back, just backwards around here, or engage, interrupt the cap. One of the two options. There's not much that recon can do at the moment. Does hit this infantry unit there. This tank can push forward and help provide protection for this recon, so that's probably a pretty safe interrupt there. Max is starting to capture his airport down south. Tank push way forward on top of the missile silo. Or the spent missile silo, I should say. And Max will smash the recon unit. Takes his little bit extra firepower on his direct units. Able to deal with it no problem. Another tank up here. Or that's not Max's tank. Kindle's tank. And with her plus 40% firepower from the property, definitely a dead recon. More so than even Max's tank can do to a recon. Do have more tanks being pulled out by Kindle. Kindle's going for a healthy number of tanks. Max has obtained his comm tower first, getting a little bit of extra firepower going. And now his artillery pieces should be at normal power strength, barring the lack of range. And now Kindle's tank is on the threat by 2 tanks. She may just need to pull back that tank to avoid any additional damage, or just it being knocked out basically for free. Because after all, sure, she can hold this property there, but she will still get 2-shotted by these tanks. Falls back over here rather than back towards this tank. This tank could rotate over to support that tank. Oh yeah, there's also an infantry unit there, interrupting it. And stop the capture entirely. And now capturing the property herself. So now, not only she interrupt and stop that capture, she now also has both these tanks pushed forward together. And this tank, rather than going this direction, could go this direction, and thus have 3 tanks versus Max's 2. She decides to just charge forward. Decent coverage here. Taking a shot from the property will result her being double tapped, which is probably fine with Kindle. Yeah, that takes a decent enough spot. There's also a mountain here, so Max will have to push pretty far forward, and then she will probably counterattack, get double first strike there. And captures out the property as well, so now there's also a bit of a blocker there. Maybe I should just wait and do a couple fours before I mention what could go happen. But this tank is very well supported by these 2 tanks. May seem far away, but they're close enough. And my voice is starting to go out, my apologies. Been casting a decent number of replays this morning. And now we've got a max battle copters for maximum firepower. Good strike there. That infantry will be picked off. We'll get first strike there, and this time these tanks are out of range. But looks like, don't think Max interrupt that cap. Be a bit difficult. Curious. A little bit. Let's move infantry. Still in the way. And change this property to a road. Nope, doesn't look like he can do an interrupt there. Didn't even bother to fire a shot in the 4 health unit. He wants the little bit of body block here there because that can help prevent this tank from pushing forward. Though this 4 health infantry unit can just finish him off, and then this tank can hit here, getting a first strike. So maybe not the greatest play there with that tank, though it does have a reinforcing tank here. But a couple of tanks will be sent over here. Max does have a tank over here, while Kindle has an artillery piece. Probably should play around this mountain for some coverage. A line of sight blocker, or a movement blocker there. If you finish off that 1 health unit, tank gets a good bite out of that tank. This pink tank could pitch another shot there. Gets an interrupt there on the cap. Fully stops the cap. And that's actually a better spot for the tank. Sure, she can put a shot into this 3 health tank. She'll win the fight, won't take out this tank. But placing the tank over here will help protect her tanks from these other tanks. Her losing this 3 health tank is fine as a mobile blocker at this point in time. Can do some interrupts, but it's really not valuable at the moment. But it being a blocker means these tanks become even more valuable. None of these tanks are now in range. This tank will not be able to put a shot and take out that tank, I believe. So now these tanks can now project onto these tanks. The artillery piece does get behind the mountain there, able to provide some fire support, and has a bunch of blockers around as well. Very nice. Does throw a shot there in the tank. I don't think even a good luck roll will take out that tank. Trying to capture there, which will force a response from Magenta, though the 1 health tank may be able to interrupt. Throw a shot there in the infantry unit. Battle copter heading up north. And now we've got Max's tanks pushing way forward. This one's a little bit exposed. And there's a property here. We'll get some firepower capabilities, but nothing too critical. And this 9 health tank is in range as well, so Max does have some good blockers here, but there's a lot of firepower here by Kindle. More infantry and tanks. Infantry unit gets a good hit there on the good hits there. Capture some properties. Going to just go ahead and contain the tank. Battle tank, or not battle tank, battle copter would cause some issues there. The artillery pieces, be careful. Kindle does have an anti-air advancing down south in a reasonable enough spot. I don't think there's a way Max can get this tank into that anti-air. It goes for another artillery piece. Just for a defensive line here, right here, wouldn't be half bad, so she can focus over here. But it feels like Kindle's a little bit stronger there. A second artillery piece is interesting. I don't think that's the greatest choice. Another tank may be a little bit better. Though when artillery pieces get into large groups, they perform a lot better. Another tank or artillery piece. So she's gone for another artillery piece over here. She pulls back. I think she could have been a bit more aggressive, but this reinforcing tank may not be a good trade in the end. This area is pretty easy to defend with artillery pieces. We've got double mountain here, so a couple artillery pieces here will provide excellent coverage around here. Of course, Max's mountains are here as well, but of course he has one less range, which is not good for coverage. Max's artilleries are possible, but have to be used very limited, like their range. Max goes for a recon over there. I probably something just to engage infantry units. A bit more cost effective than a tank, but it will of course take a lot more hits than a tank. And of course it does more poorly on plains than tanks, better on roads. There's a lot of roads and properties for a good movement, so it is possible the recons can do quite well in fire support. And you can see here, let's just pull up the damage calculator. Remember as well that plus 40% damage being on top of properties is a lot. Oh yeah, look at that. Plus 40% damage. She can do up to 8 damage, an average of 8 damage from the property. So there was no chance of that infantry unit staying alive. You gotta respect Kindle's capability to be on top of properties, because it will come out of nowhere, because it's somewhat difficult to play around not receiving fire from our properties. You're more concerned about punching through the defense than worry about the retaliation offense. After all, Kindle's bonus for increased property damage, I think the best way to put it, the best way to get value of, when somebody's going to push forward, interrupt the capture, you can oh yeah, you can interrupt the capture, pull back the unit, and retaliate with something stronger on top of the property. It's more of a retaliation tool than a defensive tool or offensive tool, if I would to best describe that ability, that passive. And is it retaliation? Plus 40% damage for interrupting a cap, or being interrupted, is quite significant. Now we've got a good amount of tanks, artillery here. Tank could be placed on this property but reduce coverage, so I think 4 is just fine. Artillery already have pretty good damage, so you don't have to be absolute best position, just a very good position. Battlecopter now push way forward. Got good rotation over here. Multiple tanks, battlecopters, and a recon. Another battlecopter now floating field. It's got a lot of max battlecopters. Another anti-air over here. Not a bad idea. Anti-airs can fight tanks to a certain degree. They're not horrible, just not great. More tanks now being deployed on in. More anti-airs. With the amount of battlecopters in the field, I say anti-airs are performing pretty good. Plus, Max has a good amount of infantry as well. It pretty much is infantry, battlecopter, tank is most of Max's composition, barring the single recon. Yeah, that's just literally just tank, infantry, battlecopter, and 1 recon. So anti-airs would be just fine, because it will at least cover 2 of Max's primary units, the tank and the battlecopter. Not tank, infantry and the battlecopter. Good push over there by Max. Oh yeah. That strike. Yep. He rolled a horrible luck roll, leaving him 1 health. And that is actually quite important, rolling that bad luck. Because look, now 1 health, this thing is alive, which means he cannot punch forward and hit that artillery piece. And with that artillery piece gone, there goes a lot of Kindle's firepower. Additionally, over here, you do have a 5 health infantry unit, which this tank could follow up, take it out, and the battlecopter could engage the artillery piece, knocking it out as well. So him rolling a horrible bad luck roll denies the kill of this artillery piece. And getting rid of both artillery pieces make it so his tanks just have more free reign of this region. This is a massive loss and bad luck by Max. Gets a good strike there. Interrupts the capture, threatening the flip. Not a great spot to engage. Decides not to go for this artillery piece. There, of course, is an anti-air there, which will spell doom to a battlecopter. Yep. And now finish off the infantry unit. And now this tank should engage the artillery piece. He had a punch over there. Now he is in range of this artillery piece. And a 4 health artillery piece is still here, which can do some damage. Nothing significant. And we do have the Urban Blight for Kindle, which means her urban property is up to 80% damage, plus wounds everything on top of properties, such as this tank. Not only he was not even punched through his infantry, he had to punch through the side to get to that, finish off the infantry unit. Now this tank is going to receive 3 points of damage from the Urban Blight. And now, of course, so it makes it weaker in its defense, so it's harder to keep it alive. And then the follow-up tank get on top of the property and smash this tank here, so I can protect next turn where artillery piece will probably could finish it off entirely, plus with the passive plus 10, column tower plus 20% in total, so I think the artillery piece could finish off a 7 health tank, and then this tank will just smash this tank. It'll be a one-shot plus 80% damage. That should be a one-shot. So that bad luck roll could have lost Max the entire game, because this Urban Blight's going to be nasty. Oops, did I hit? Oh, that may have been a wait turn. Tank, infantry, battlecopter. And this Urban Blight is going to be devastating. She may eye a little more power charge before she pops it, but you can see here, Kindle should be able to project onto and off of this city. And not to mention there's also this city in play, and everything back here is going to be wounded. Drain some funds, and then they advance to the front line at 9 health and 10, which does make a difference. What else could we possibly see? I think it's going to be a bit of a power play here and here overall. Oh, and there's also this battlecopter here. She may have this battlecopter in range. No, she does not. Maybe some sort of projection here with that tank, but let's see. Urban Blight. A couple units on the front line got hit. Oh, and also this tank here as well as a consolation prize. Oh, yep. I'm curious what the damage calculator says about that. Let's see. Oh, she had to roll a decent luck roll, something greater than 50% by the looks of it. She does, so her luck is better than Max at the moment. Yep. Let's take a look at that. Not even close. That was easy one shot. The artillery piece wounds that tank, making it easier to finish it off with that one. And a property attack on that battlecopter. I'm curious about something. It was going to be easy one shot, but how easy one shot? I'm guessing what, 150 to 200%? 240%. That is massive. If my offhand math is not incorrect, yeah, even 5 health, it would is an easy one shot. 4? Okay, 4 is getting to the part where you have to rely on luck, but still, even half health, that battlecopter is beyond dead. Gets a good shot there, and probably going to see a follow-up tank onto the property. Easy one shot. Superpower for Max. The extra mobility could be very good. That's going to be just regular ordinary attack, which in this case, very good. Not much follow-up there in that region for Max. Though +2 movement range can creep up on you. Just ask any person fighting as Adder. Or playing as Adder. goes for a lot of damage across front line. He just wants stuff wounded. Finish off that unit there. Very nice. The extra firepower passive 10% is very useful. Anti-air, infantry, infantry. And here comes a superpower. +2 movement is probably the biggest part to this superpower. Let's see how well it does. Plus what? 50% increased damage. Gets a one shot. Hits the finish Saxon Zone infantry unit. It gets a good hit on the tank there, but also means Kindle's battlecopter's going to get some good work done. Man's finished off there. Now her next battlecopter pushes forward, smashes through that battlecopter. Gets a hit there. Tank on tank violence. Finished off the infantry unit. Infantry units pushing forward. Tank. One more shot. There's also the recon unit that could get a shot on in, but there's literally nothing left in this region. Kindle has a 33,000 unit advantage, but of course got a 20,000 reserve. So overall, Kindle appears to be ahead by a turn in value, which may be important for player 1, but at this point in time, it may not matter who's player 1 and player 2. More tank squadron by Max. That recon unit does go down. Did charge pretty far forward, just got some damage there. Was it worth it? No, that was a 4,000 unit to get half a thousand damage. I suppose a little bit more effect going down to getting better repairs. But still not worth it. Kindle is now rotating over to the right rather than downwards. This area is pretty battered and bruised. Remember, a lot of her force is artillery pieces, so she can't be super aggressive. Mountain Rangers could be used against Max. There's also this decent force there, so rotating over here wouldn't be half bad. Finish off that infantry unit there. Artillery piece backs up off. Going to be trying to flip the property. Artillery to provide retaliation for the interrupt. Tank, infantry, infantry, and battlecopter. Now Max's turn. Not much he can get done over here, but he has quite a bit of force here to leverage with, but he decides the back of the game now. This Angrade saying, thank you for watching, and on to the next replay.